Jean de La Bruyère. Those who make the worst use of their time, the first to complain of its brevity. Two persons cannot long be friends if they cannot forgive each other's little failings. Life is a tragedy for those who feel, and a comedy for those who think. The pleasure of criticizing takes away from us the pleasure of being moved by some very fine things. Such a great misfortune not to be able to be alone. There are only three events in a man's life: birth, life, and death. He is not conscious of being born, he dies in pain, and he forgets to live. The most exquisite pleasure is giving pleasure to others. We keep a special place in our hearts for people who refuse to be impressed by us. Sudden love takes the longest time to be cured. Most men make use of the first part of their life to render the last part miserable. When a book raises your spirit and inspires you with noble and manly thoughts, seek for no other test of its excellence. It is good and made by a good workman. The unnamed should not be mistaken for the non-existent. Those who make the worst use of their time, the first to complain of its shortness. If some persons died and others did not die, death would indeed be a terrible affliction. If poverty is the mother of all crimes, lack of intelligence is their father. The same principle leads us to neglect a man of merit that induces us to admire a fool. A wise man is cured of ambition by ambition itself. His aim is so exalted that riches, office, fortune, and favor cannot satisfy him. The very essence of politeness is to take care that by our words and actions we make other people pleased with us, as well as with themselves. We can recognize the dawn and the decline of love by the uneasiness we feel when alone together. One seeks to make the loved one entirely happy, or, if that cannot be, entirely wretched. The pleasure of criticism takes away from us the pleasure of being deeply moved by very fine things. Generosity lies less in giving much than in giving at the right moment. Time, which strengthens friendship, weakens love. If it is true that one is poor on account of all the things one wants, the ambitious and the avaricious languish in extreme poverty. Not to be able to bear with all bad-tempered people with whom the world is crowded shows that a man has not a good temper himself. Grief at the absence of a loved one is happiness compared to life with a person one hates. A man is rich whose income is larger than his expenses, and he is poor if his expenses are greater than his income. Everything has been said, and we are more than 7,000 years of human thought too late. No vice exists which does not pretend to be more or less like some virtue, and which does not take advantage of this assumed resemblance. That we seldom repent of talking too little and very often of talking too much is a maxim that everybody knows and nobody practices.